I had just finalized the acquisition of my longtime rival's company, hadn't even had time to celebrate. When the news hit, my wife had been kidnapped. Calmly, I poured myself a cup of coffee. It was expired, bitter, but oddly satisfying. I took a slow sip, savoring the quiet before the storm. What a dramatic Valentine's Day. My sworn enemy had picked today of all days to kidnap my wife, and was even arrogant enough to live-stream the whole ordeal, forcing me to negotiate over the phone for company shares. His tone was dripping with smugness. I shifted on the sofa, found a comfortable position, and said casually, "Hey buddy, do you know the 3 greatest joys in a man's life?" A faint smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. My tone was even more enthusiastic than his. Promotion, wealth, and the wife's demise. On the live stream, Lily's pale face was pressed against the ground. Her palm was smeared with blood, still sticky and fresh. The severed finger identical to the one in the package that had just been delivered to me. The comment section was exploding. "Oh my God, is this real? There's blood on the floor. That looks like actual human blood. Are they seriously live streaming this? Aren't they scared of getting caught?" Despite the mask, I recognized the voice immediately. Jack, the former CEO of Jack Corporation. After his company went bankrupt, he'd vanished. Now here he was, resurfacing through a live-streamed kidnapping, apparently to support his new career. I casually sent a few virtual gifts during the stream, just to show my appreciation for the theatrics. But before I could get bored, my father-in-law, who had been sitting in stunned silence, finally lost control. He rushed in front of me, his voice trembling. "John, please, save my daughter. She's your wife, after all." I raised an eyebrow, gave him a cold glance. "Mr. White, it's not that I don't want to save her, it's just that the price they're asking is too high." His face crumbled with disbelief. "You build this company from the ground up. And now, just for a little profit, you're willing to let her die. I misjudged you." The disappointment in his eyes was sharp, but it didn't move me. The kidnappers wanted 50% of the company shares. I couldn't hand that over, not now, not ever. When it came to choosing between emotion and money, I didn't hesitate. "Mr. White," I continued, "you know as well as I do how hard I worked to get where I am today. Please try to understand. And as for Lily, if she dies, don't worry, I make sure she gets a grand funeral." Right after I said that, my mother-in-law rushed forward, pointing at my face and screaming, "John, are you even human? My daughter is pregnant with your child." I glanced at the screen, occasionally tapping like, "Sorry, Mrs. White, that's my bottom line." They both lost a trolling up their sleeves and charging at me. Thankfully, I had a few bodyguards stationed nearby. They were restrained quickly. Suddenly, from the live stream, Jack shouted at the camera, "John, you coward. Hiding in your mansion, how long are you gonna run?" The comments flooded again. "This dude's insane, he really kidnapped a CEO's wife. I heard Mrs. JN always has bodyguards, how'd they even get her? Is this real? Or some weird publicity stunt?" Seeing the clueless comments, Jack exploded. He raised the phone in one hand, and with the other, yanked my wife's hair, pulling her up. A scream rang out. Her pale face reappeared. "Can you hear me, husband?" Her voice cracked. Her face was streaked with tears. Please don't believe him. Even if I die today, give him the shares. The comment section turned sympathetic. People began calling the police. My mother-in-law, seeing her daughter like that, nearly fainted. John, did you hear that? She's still thinking of you, and you're just sitting there. I raised an eyebrow again, my lips curling into a faint smile. Mrs. White, you heard it yourself. Your daughter clearly doesn't want me to save her. If she's so eager to die. More screams, and then the stream went dark. Jack's bloodshot eyes glared into the camera. John, I know you're watching. You've got 1 hour to your company or your wife. He burst out laughing. For every 10 minutes you hesitate, I'm chopping off one of her fingers. I sighed, turning to Lily's parents. You heard it. It's not that I don't care, it's just that the kidnapper's demand is outrageous. That company is worth over $50 billion. I can't just hand that over. I paused, then changed my tone slightly. But maybe you two shouldn't worry so much. Who knows? The police might already be closing in. Sure, the IP address is abroad, but there's still hope, right? My father-in-law slammed the table, roaring, John, you heartless bastard. I was blind to ever let my daughter marry you. Before I could reply, a group of police officers burst into the mansion. Leading them was Captain Lee, face grim. Mr. John, we haven't located the kidnapper yet. To prevent further harm, I suggest you temporarily agree to their demands. He gave me a meaningful glance. Because they're live streaming publicly, the higher-ups don't want any bloodshed going viral. Before I could speak, my father-in-law cut in. Did you hear that? Even the police are telling you to do it. What are you waiting for? I calmly adjusted my collar, looked at the group, and said, Sorry everyone, my shares are not negotiable. As for my wife's life or death, I'll leave that to fate. The room went silent. My mother-in-law fainted. John, how could you? My daughter stood by you through everything. When you had nothing, she gave up everything for you. And now? You just watch her die like this. Her husband's voice cracked, trembling. Even the officer's eyes reddened. Mr. John, we get it, your company means everything to you. But that's your wife. Just give them what they want. You loved her once. Doesn't that matter at all? Laughed. Everyone wants to be a hero, huh? But has anyone thought about my feelings? I glanced around. I can always find another wife. But if I lose my company, I lose everything. My father-in-law exploded. He grabbed a teacup and hurled it onto the floor. You monster. How could she have married someone like you? The tension in the room was suffocating. Just then, a fresh scream burst from the livestream. Jack was holding a hatchet, blood dripping from its edge. My wife trembled in the corner, barely conscious. 10 minutes already, I muttered, suppressing a wave of disgust. Captain Lee clenched his fists, voice hard. Mr. John, I urge you to comply. I leaned back casually. Captain Lee, instead of wasting breath on me, why don't you hurry up and find him? I raised both hands, only 2 fingers gone. She still has 8. Captain Lee's rage boiled over. Jack's voice blared again. John, my patience is running thin. Next time, it won't be a finger. I scowled. So much for keeping promises. He said 1 finger every 10 minutes. Sit hadn't even been that long, but maybe if he went for her head next, it'd finally quiet everyone down. My father-in-law lunged at me again, trembling. John, don't you understand? My daughter's about to die. Give them the damn shares. I sighed. Mr. White, I get how you feel. But to me, the company matters more than my wife. Blame bad luck, not me. Everyone erupted. Even the young officers looked like they were about to punch. Me. Captain Lee pointed at the stream. She's pregnant, even if you don't care about her. What about the baby? I narrowed my eyes at the screen. A child? I didn't want a wife, so why would I want a child? I've decided. No more discussion. Captain Lee's expression darkened. I hope you won't regret this. I cleared my throat, smiling. Captain Lee, please. Why would I regret it? Promotion, wealth, and the wife's demise, what could be better? I should thank the kidnapper. I'm getting two joys at once. The screen blinked with trackers trying to find Jack but still no exact location. Viewership skyrocketed. The comments flew. Where the hell is her husband? 2 fingers gone and still no action. He's seriously letting her die for shares, Jack snapped. I'm counting to 3. If you don't answer, I'm killing her. I picked up the phone. The call connected. My voice echoed on the stream. CEO John. So you do care, Jack said smugly. I frowned. As long as you transfer the shares, I won't touch her again. Everyone waited, thinking I'd agree. But instead, I said, you've misunderstood, friend. My shares are everything. I called. Just to say one thing, don't hesitate. Kill her. I'm getting sleepy. Time froze. Jack was stunned, silent. Then he lost it. He brought the hatchet down directly on her head. Thud. Silence in the mansion. My father-in-law screamed, grabbed a fruit knife, and lunged. Chaos broke out. But I sat calmly on the sofa, peeling a tangerine. Mr. White, calm down, I said softly. Captain Lee blocked him. Sir, she's gone. Please, control yourself. I calmly separated the tangerine segments, chewing slowly. My father-in-law glared at me. Why? Why provoke him? Why make him kill her? I crossed my legs, frowning slightly. Too sour. My apathy snapped something in the room. The young officers surged forward. I've never met someone this heartless. Even if I lose my badge, today I'll beat you to death. You don't care about life, law, or love. She was pregnant with twins. 2 lives lost, all because of my words. Even Captain Lee's eyes were filled with hatred. I glanced at the stream. The viewer count just kept rising, and the corner of my mouth slowly curled upward. After acting for so long. Aren't you all tired? I know I am. Exhausted, actually. As soon as I said that, everyone froze. The room fell into dead silence. They all just stared at me, wide-eyed. Only my father-in-law seemed uneasy. His eyes flicked away like he was trying to figure something out. I stayed calm and continued. What if I told you my wife isn't dead? Would you believe me? The second those words left my mouth, my father-in-law exploded. Nonsense, he shouted. We all heard her screams. My daughter was killed by the kidnappers. I just let out a tired sigh. I really don't want to continue this charade anymore. I pointed to the corpse on the live stream screen. Mr. White, whether your daughter is dead or not, you're the one who knows best. At that, my father-in-law's body visibly trembled. John, what the hell are you talking about? Someone shouted. We all saw it. She was clearly kidnapped. Everyone saw it. Police, arrest him. Someone else cried. He's stalling for time. Captain Lee turned toward me, his voice cold and suspicious. Mr. John, are you trying to make up stories to clear your name? I gave him a faint smile and nodded toward the live stream. Captain Lee, your officers already have my mansion tightly surrounded. Do you really think I still need to deceive you at this point? He paused, thinking over my words. His expression turned more serious. Then tell me, where is Lily now? Is she still alive? I sighed, raising my hand and pointing straight at my father. I've already told you. A father like him should know very well where she is. Still, the old man kept up the act. I don't know anything. John did this. He let her die because he cared more about the company shares than her life. Don't believe a word he says. If I knew where Lily was, would I be crying like this? I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. Slowly, I clapped my hands. The acting skills of you two father and daughter are truly unmatched, I sneered. But no matter how good the performance, the play has to end sometime, you bastard. What nonsense are you talking about? Everyone was shouting. Now, voices overlapping. Don't believe him. Lily is my daughter. Why would I kidnap her? I was done watching this performance. I turned calmly to Captain Lee. What if I told you? All of this, every last bit, was self-directed and self-acted by them. Captain Lee's eyes wavered. Mr. John, what exactly is going on here? I looked straight at my father. He was still trying to keep quiet. But I could see it in his eyes, the fear, the guilt. A cold light flashed in my eyes. There's something you all should know, I said. My wife has been having an affair for a long time. Gasps echoed. In the room, I raised my hand again, this time pointing at the livestream screen. And the man she's cheating with, the one you still haven't caught, Jack. The room went dead quiet. It was like time had stopped. Everyone's eyes widened in shock, not wanting to believe what they'd just heard. My eyes locked on my father-in-law. Nonsense. That's not true. I laughed coldly. Then, in front of everyone, I opened a box and took out the severed finger the kidnappers had sent. Holding it up, I curled my lips into a sneer. This finger, I said, is not my wife's. Captain Lee's eyes widened. Impossible, Mr. John Owen. What basis are you saying this isn't hers? Without flinching, I placed the severed finger on the table. If I remember correctly, Lily has been playing piano since she was a child. Years of practice would have left calluses on her fingertips. But look at this finger, it's smooth. No trace of piano practice at all. Captain Lee picked up the finger, inspecting it carefully. Then he turned back to me. But there's a wedding ring on it. Isn't that her ring? It looks exactly like hers. I snorted lightly and slowly raised my hand, pointing toward the main door. My father-in-law was trying to sneak away. I smiled coldly. Maybe you should be asking him about that ring. It has nothing to do with me. My said quickly, pulling his hand away from the doorknob. I don't know anything. Too late. Stop. Captain Lee shouted, his voice firm and commanding. If you don't explain everything clearly today, don't even think about leaving. The officers immediately restrained him. I leaned back in my seat, leisurely picked up a few sunflower seeds, and began cracking them one by one. I really don't know anything. John's framing me, he shouted. I clapped again, laughing. If I'm framing you, then explain this. If your daughter is really dead, why were you trying to sneak away? His face flushed red. His lips moved, but no words came out. I watched him in silence, then slowly said, "Fine. If you won't say it, I will. The truth is, you've been hiding your daughter from the beginning. Then you found Jacko, desperate man with nothing to lose, to act as the kidnapper. You staged the entire kidnapping. And to seal the illusion, you killed someone during a live broadcast in front of millions of viewers, all just to make me look like the villain. Because once Lily died, the public would turn against me. My reputation would shatter. My company shares would drop. And in the end, everything would fall into your hands." I sighed deeply. All that effort, just for my company shares, but what you didn't expect was that I had evidence of Lily's affair. I was actually scheduled to fly abroad that day for a business trip. But halfway there, heavy rain grounded all flights, so I decided to surprise her instead. I didn't call ahead, just went straight home. When I arrived, I noticed the lights on in the upstairs bedroom, and at the door, a pair of men's leather shoes. My gut told me something was wrong. I went upstairs, and sure enough, I found Lily in bed with someone, and that someone was Jack, the same man who once lost to me. I later found out that after his company went bankrupt, he was taken in by Lily's family. He'd been hiding in the shadows ever since, waiting for a chance to strike. While I was secretly collecting evidence of the affair, I overheard a conversation between Lily's family about how they planned to take over my company. That's when I decided to use their own plan against them. I played along, cooperating just enough to complete their staged drama. I stared straight at my father-in-law, coldly smiling. "Mr. White, you really thought your plan was so flawless, didn't you?" Then I pulled out a video one I had recorded that night and placed it in front of Captain Lee. "You asked about the wedding ring earlier, right?" I said. "Well, Lily put that ring on herself." Captain Lee watched the video. As soon as it ended, he couldn't hold back anymore. He roared at my father-in-law, "Mr. White, do you realize how serious this is?" But faced with such clear evidence, the old man gave up pretending. He just shrugged. "Serious?" he said coldly. "What consequences?" "I didn't call the police anyway." Before he could say another word, bang! A gunshot exploded from the live stream. Everyone gasped and immediately looked at the screen. A fully armed SWAT team had just appeared. Assault rifles drawn. The gunshot we heard was the sound of Jack being shot. He lay there, eyes wide, staring blankly at the camera, like he couldn't believe what was happening. It all happened in 3 seconds, just 3 from the moment they pinpointed his location to the moment they fired and hit him. So fast, no one could even react. The first person to recover was Officer Harris, the lead on the case. He grabbed his walkie-talkie, shouting frantically, "Stop, do not fire. The kidnappers are just decoys." But it was too late. The live stream was still on. His words were instantly broadcast to millions of viewers. The chat exploded. "Wait, what? Did the police just say the kidnappers were fake? So the guy they just shot was innocent? Wait. Look." The body on the screen was moving. Lily, who had supposedly died, was now running toward Jack, sobbing uncontrollably as she cradled him. "Jack, are you okay? please wake up. A tragic scene, almost romantic in its despair. If not for the gunshot, you'd almost forget it was all a hoax. The officers in the room instantly snapped to attention. An emergency team rushed in, loading Jack onto a stretcher. The live stream cut off abruptly. The broadcast ended. I set my phone down and gave a cold, bitter laugh. Right then, I couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Honestly, it's better to start a business than to keep playing these ridiculous cosplay kidnapping games. Now who could he blame? Officer Harris was silent, saying nothing. After a long pause, he suddenly raised his head and looked straight at me. His gaze was sharp, so sharp it immediately made me feel like something was wrong. "Mr. John, please come with us to the station to assist with the investigation." I was stunned, staring at him, unable to stop myself from asking, "Officer Harris, this kidnapping plan wasn't arranged by me. Why are you taking me to the station?" Before I could finish speaking, Officer Harris had already pushed me into the police car. But I wasn't handcuffed, which meant they were only suspicious of me. They didn't have solid evidence yet. Sitting in the passenger seat, I stared out the window. The streetlights flashed past one by one. A sense of unease slowly rose in my chest. "Mr. John," Officer Harris suddenly said, "you don't seem to be doing too well. Logically speaking, your wife and her family have been arrested. Jack's life and death are uncertain. You should be happy. But why do you look so worried?" I glanced at the rearview mirror and met Officer Harris's strange, probing gaze. Taking a deep breath, I steadied myself. No, I'm just a bit tired. That's all." But through this brief exchange, I confirmed one thing: Officer Harris was starting to suspect me. He just didn't have the evidence. He lowered the car window and silently lit a cigarette. Then, after a moment, he said, "Mr. John, can you guess who revealed the kidnapper's location?" Boom. It was like a bomb went off in my head. My brain buzzed, as if a current had shocked it directly. Did he know, or was he just testing me? I quickly composed myself and answered in a calm tone. There were so many live stream viewers. It could have been anyone kind enough to report it. Officer Harris lightly tapped his fingers on the steering wheel, his expression unreadable. Just 20 minutes from the mansion to the station, but for me it felt like 20 years. The entire drive, Officer Harris kept glancing at me through the rearview mirror. His look unreadable, suspicious, loaded, but luckily he didn't say another word until the car stopped at the station gate. "Get out of the car. Don't be nervous, we're just following procedure. After all, you're the only one who knows the truth of this case, right?" He gave a meaningful smile, then turned and walked into the interrogation room. I rubbed my temples and silently followed. Inside, Officer Harris didn't make things too difficult for me. He only asked a few simple questions, had me sign the record, then let me go. On the way back, I kept thinking, if he really suspected me, why let me go so easily? But I was confident. I had done everything flawlessly. I hadn't left any loopholes. How could anyone possibly know I was the one who revealed the kidnapper's location? Even if Officer Harris had his doubts, as time passed, the truth would fade into obscurity. A week later, as the sole victim in this kidnapping case, I attended the trial. In the courtroom, aside from Jack still in a coma, Lily's entire family was present. The case was broadcast live online, attracting massive attention. Due to its seriousness, even higher-ups were watching closely. On the public voting portal, 99.9% agreed with the conviction. Only 1% thought it was a prank. But thanks to my subtle guidance, even that 1% eventually switched sides, supporting the guilty verdict. I became a hero in the eyes of the publica pitiful husband betrayed by his wife and her family. Conversely, Lily's family was condemned by the entire society. In the end, the court sentenced the White family 3 people to 12 years in prison for disrupting social order at the highest level. As for Jack, whether he'd ever wake up was still unknown. They said the bullet had grazed his brain, missing by just 1 millimeter. Any more, and he'd be dead. But the current situation wasn't much better. As long as he didn't wake up, no one could ever know I was the one who called the police. This shocking case, which once shook the whole country, gradually faded into oblivion under strict control. The next day, before Lily officially began her sentence, I, as her only legal husband, received a final visit. On the other side of the glass, the woman who was once my wife stared blankly. Even when she saw me, there was no expression. That was expected. Someone about to go to prison. What mood could she possibly have? I calmly sat down opposite her and picked up the phone. Lily lifted her receiver too, her eyes filled with hatred as she looked at me. Her voice was sharp, filled with resentment. "John, you're just luckier than me. I never planned to tell the truth." Even at this point, she still didn't show any remorse. "Well then," I smiled faintly, clearing my throat. "Don't blame me, either. Have you ever wondered how the police knew where Jack was hiding?" Her eyes widened in disbelief as my words sank in. "It was you. You revealed the address." I smiled again, full of mockery. "After all, we were once husband and wife. Before partying, I'll give you this final advice. If you don't want others to know, then don't do it yourself." With that, I put down the headset, stood up, and walked away. No matter how loudly she screamed and cried behind me, I didn't look back. Her future was a cold iron prison, mine incomparably bright. After leaving the detention center, I had the urge to visit the hospital where Jack was staying. But what surprised me was that a criminal like him had 2 police officers guarding his room. Even though the case was over, Officer Harris clearly hadn't given up investigating. I glanced at Jack, lying motionless on the bed, then walked to the nurse's station. "Nurse, I'm a friend of the patient in room 605. Jack. Did the doctor say when he'll wake up?" The nurse didn't even look up. "He won't wake up again, really?" I asked, genuinely surprised. Now she looked up at me with suspicion. "Aren't you his friend? Why do you sound happy that he won't wake up?" I quickly regained my composure and casually made up a reason. No, it's not that. It's just ... I owe him some money. If he doesn't wake up, I won't have to pay it back." I chuckled, whistled, and turned to leave the hospital. But just as I stepped outside and was about to call a car, a police car suddenly pulled up in front of me. Officer Harris. He immediately honked the horn and looked at me with a strange smile. I stood frozen. But then he opened the door and gestured for me to get in. With no choice, I smiled awkwardly, gritted my teeth, and climbed in. "What a coincidence, Mr. John," he said, smiling. "Didn't expect to see you here." I forced a laugh, scratching my head, Damn it, if I'd known, I wouldn't have come to the hospital today. Double quotes, Mr. John. What brings you here? Visiting a sick friend. I kept smiling. Ah, yes. Officer Harris, you're sharp as ever. A colleague of mine isn't well. I was just passing by and thought I'd check in. He handed me a cigarette and even lit it for me himself. No need to be so nervous, Mr. John. You're sweating all over. I took a puff and immediately choked, coughing hard. No, it's just the weather. Too hot, I guess. He lightly patted my shoulder, then said in a deeper tone, Tell me, even our police couldn't find the kidnapper's location. So how could random livestream viewers find it so quickly? I felt a cold sweat pouring down my back. Still, I stayed calm and kept my voice steady. Perhaps it was just luck. A coincidence. Maybe someone just happened to pass by. Officer Harris took a long drag of his cigarette and exhaled slowly, his eyes deep and unreadable. Or is it possible that someone already knew where the kidnapper was hiding and intentionally revealed it to us? My body tensed up. I slowly placed my hand on the car door handle. If the situation turned, I'd jump out immediately. But just as the tension peaked, Officer Harris suddenly burst into loud laughter. I just thought the atmosphere was too tense, he chuckled. Just joking, Mr. John. Then, narrowing his eyes, he added, You wouldn't take that seriously, would you? I let out a long breath, waving my hands quickly. Of course not. What a coincidence, right? We looked at each other without speaking. Neither of us revealed our real thoughts. After a moment, Officer Harris stubbed out his cigarette, stomped the gas pedal, and said, Let's go, I'll take you home. When he dropped me off, I stood outside the mansion for a long while before walking in. Everything was the same. My company still belonged to me. Lily's family was in prison. Jack locked in an eternal coma. I had one. No one could prove I was the one who reported the location. No one could overturn this case. Those who tried to harm me, all punished. I sat on the sofa, poured myself a glass of wine, closed my eyes, and savored this absolute success. From now on, no one could threaten my life again. Lily would spend 12 years behind bars. By the time she got out, she'd have nothing. Jack would never wake up. That was the price of his stupidity in eternity on a hospital bed. Officer Harris might still be suspicious, but he had no evidence. He couldn't touch me, I chuckled. Raised my glass toward the glowing city lights outside the window, and toasted myself. Victory. I took a sip of the wine, letting the fiery liquid spread on my tongue. The game was over, and the winner, the only one left standing, was me.